Do. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. I'm Tim Sohn here in the woods in Northeast Pennsylvania with the bears and the turkeys and the occasional human being. And I'm so excited to be here today with our amazing guest and co-host, Jim Hughes. Take it away, my friend.
Am I the guest and co-host? No, I'm the
No.
co-host. But we have an amazing guest. We have with us all the way from the Gold Coast of Australia, where she's currently right now, very early in the morning there. So we brought coffee to show her support. Annette McDonald, the founder of Easel, an amazing tool. So excited that you, not only that you joined us, but that you were willing to sacrifice some sleep in order to join us. So welcome, Annette, and so happy to have you here.
Thank you, guys. I'm so happy to be here. 3 a.m. I wouldn't miss it for the world to be with you guys.
Thank you so much, Annette. And thank you, everyone who's tuning in. We are so grateful, whether you're here at 3 o'clock or 12 o'clock or whatever o'clock it is. Let us show the love to our amazing guests down in the comments. Show us with words or emojis. Say, thank you so much for getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or however you want to express that. But Annette, tell us about yourself. Tell us, a little bit about Easel and how you got there.
Yeah, sure. So I am a graphic designer by trade. So I've been working in design for over 20 years now, just revealing my age there. But started out with a graphic design agency and heaps of graphic designers and team working for me. So we got up to a team of about 30 people, super busy, years and years before social media came in. So we were busy doing print work and signage and branding and all that type of stuff. And then social media hit the world and everyone wanted more graphics, more designs, more everything, more everything now quickly. And we weren't coping. Even with our large team, we were taking long turnarounds to do everything. So we had to come up with a way to do things faster. And the idea that was born was Easel. So at first it was a way to get rid of some of the administration that we were doing, like the backwards and forwards of people going, can you make this change on our graphic? Just little things that, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, backwards and forwards, and suddenly you've got hours of time added onto a graphic. We wanted to chop that out and let people do that themselves. And that's where the first idea of Easel came about, like us creating something and giving access to our clients so that they could make their own changes and do things faster. So that's where it all started. And a couple of years after it was just sort of a private product for us, we decided to release it to the world, rebuild it, and now it's Easel.
That's awesome. And I know both myself and Jim are fans of Easel. We both use it, have used it. It makes our lives so much easier. And we want to thank Karen Rice for being here. She says, well, howdy, I'm here looking forward to the goods. #live, #LinkedIn. Thanks
Yay.
for being here, Karen. And Lance is also here. Hi-ho, Annette McDonald from Sydney, Australia, the land down under.
Hey, Lance. Probably the only other Aussie that's awake at this hour. Hey, Lance.
Yes.
We'll probably get lots of replay
tomorrow. So Jim, tell everyone what we're going to be talking about today. And Annette, maybe you could share your screen with us shortly and we can dive right in.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about 5 lessons learned in 2020 that you should be applying to your DIY graphic design, because I know there's some tools out there, I won't mention any names, that you can kind of tell that everyone's using the same tool because everything looks the same. So really looking forward to seeing how, because Easel definitely makes you stand out.
Cool. Well, I will share my screen, and this is a really, really lighthearted presentation. I know you guys, you're lighthearted, you like to have a laugh, so it's not taking anything too seriously. So it's just having a joke about some of the things that we've learned in 2020 that we would rather apply to DIY design rather than in our real lives. So I will attempt the tech to open this up and share, and hopefully you guys can see everything okay. So my first tip from 2020 for your DIY graphic design is to practice social distancing. So when you're designing, you should make sure that you're not cramping everything in like this. So say this is your design, you should not be putting in as many bits and pieces into your design and cramping them in. You should instead practice social distancing, put something in the middle and leave some space around it. Or if you're putting things to the side, still keep some space around it because you don't want to get too cramped. So your DIY design skill is to practice graphic distancing to keep a professional graphic design.
I like that.
The next one is using a mask. So we've all been familiar with
I like you.
We've been using these with using a mask, which we're used to doing that now, but we'd probably rather do it in a design. So in a graphic design that's actually using like a shape or a letter mask or something like that to lift it to a different level. So when you use a circle or something, when you want to display an image in a graphic, to lift it to a professional level, you can use a shape mask. So in Easel, we've got all these different shapes and you can use letters and you can actually put your photos inside those shapes. And it takes your design to a more professional level than just, sort of dumping a photo in as it is, always being square or rectangle and cropping it down. So using a shape mask is your second DIY design rule for 2020. The third one we've got is limit your gatherings. So again, like the social distancing, this one applies to fonts specifically. So when you're designing, you can go a little bit crazy with choosing too many fonts. So we say limit your fonts, pick a maximum of 3, your good 3 brand fonts, and limit those to the ones that you display on your design. So especially keeping them to the same font family, limit your fonts so that you don't end up with a chaotic sort of mess like this, and instead use the same sort of font family within your designs to keep it at a professional level. So limit your gatherings. The fourth one is working in isolation. So again, we've been doing a fair bit of this in 2020. To have a professional look in your graphic designs, you can use something like background remove. So in our tool and in a lot of other tools, and even in a tool called background remove itself, if you've got a super busy image like of a person or a product or something like that, and it's looking too much in your design, a really good tip is to isolate it. So to take that into one of those background remove programs, remove the background and then bring it back into your design so that it's isolated will really clean up your design and keep it looking more professional. So that is number 4. Number 5, and I have got a few more than I said we've got 5, but I've actually got 9 if we've got time, depending on if you guys throw the questions at me if you want to. But number 5 is staying in your safe zones. So when you're working with print, especially, there's different rules with how you have to design. So that's obviously different to digital, but there's different zones of where you need to keep your any of your graphic design elements so that they don't get trimmed off when you're printing something. But also when you're working in social media, you should always keep things away from the edges. So making sure that you're not keeping things right up to the edge of your designs. Keeping in the safe zones means keeping away from those edges to keep your design and your text safe, because for example, on Twitter, if you put things up to the edge of a square graphic, then it's going to get cropped off, things like that. So there's different display things, and if you keep them too close to the edges, you could possibly lose some of your design being displayed. So number 5 is staying in your safe zones. The next one is following the rules. So again, we've been doing a lot of that in 2020, and it's important to do this in your graphic designs as well. So keeping your brand elements close by and following those rules. So if you've got colors and you've got fonts and you've got your logos, making sure that you stick to those rules and brand rules is super important. Don't rotate your text if it's not supposed to be rotated and it doesn't say that in your brand guidelines. Don't change your colors to other colors if you've got them set in your brand rules, and same with your fonts. Keeping all of that stuff close by and using them and sticking them to the rules is number 6. Number 7 is practice safe sharing. So again, following 2020, we've all been doing this, but in regards to graphic design and your brand, this is all about keeping your IP protected. So making sure that you only share your designs with those people that you truly trust. You know, you don't want to be sharing your designs with someone else and then they start changing all those rules and, you know, making a mess of your brand, because obviously that will be detrimental to your brand. So only share it with those people that you truly trust. Number 8 is asking for design approval. So if you don't know the rules of your brand, then you should submit your designs for approval. So in Easel and some other tools out there, what you can do is you can set your designs to be approved by the brand manager before you can actually download them. So if you don't feel that you can stick to those rules, then you should submit for approval and get that signed off before you go posting it on the interwebs everywhere. And the final one is be prepared for further lockdowns, which we really, really don't want. But if you don't adhere to all of those other rules of 2020 and doing everything properly, then you should be prepared for the person in charge of your brand to lock things down further. So again, in Easel, we've got functionality that you can lock down designs so that you can't, you know, when you're sharing with your team, you can stop them from changing the font or moving things around, but it's super flexible. But if you don't adhere to those rules that have been set by your workspace, then you might be subject to more rules and more lockdowns being placed on you. So stick to the rules and you won't have more lockdowns.
Yeah,
hopefully
it's
they all
really
make sense.
interesting what you said here too, because I was recently doing a remote project with IBM and MIT, and IBM has very strict rules in regards to graphics. And what you don't always realize, like if Tim sends me a slide with his font and I open it up in PowerPoint and I don't have that font, it'll change. So you really, those rules are so important, Annette, that people don't always realize. Like if you don't actually have that font built into your programs, it'll change it. And so what you think you're seeing maybe isn't what the original person wanted. So that's an excellent tip as well.
That's a really good point, actually, that those applications, a lot of applications have default fonts. So they do drop back to that. And with those big organizations like IBM, it's super important to be sticking to those brand fonts and not, you know, imagine if your default font was like Comic Sans or something like. Right. It could be pretty nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. So Annette, I guess a couple questions I would have too, based on these 9 steps, and that was a great, I mean, that was an amazing way that you tied in 2020 into that. I thought that was extremely clever. But as an example, so you guys have fonts that I know are part of your program, but you're also able to add your own fonts. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So we've got a brand kit functionality. So you can either upload fonts into your own workspace to use for your own designs. For example, if you've got lots of clients that you're designing for, you might want to, you know, just add them into your own workspace, like your own fonts folder per se. Or you can add them into your brand kit, which means that if you add them in there and then you add teammates, then they can access those same fonts as well. So you've got the option of having your own fonts and just using them for your own designs, or adding them to a brand kit, which is a shared space. And then all of your team can access those same fonts and logos and colors as well without having to re-upload all of that information.
Right. And can you have multiple brands with the account?
Yeah, you can. So you can actually have, we've got 3 levels of teams in Easel. So we've got what we call like an organization level, and then we've got teams, and then we've got sub teams. So you can actually set up a different brand kit within each of those spaces, and that's unlimited really. So we're kind of catering for large organizations that have got multiple brands and then multiple departments within those as well, where they might have tweaks to those brand kits, or, you know, they might have even totally different brands, but people need to be switching between those different teams and organizations. You can have as many as you like, but it's set up to have 1 per team as such, to keep it easy.
Right.
That's awesome. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 15-second break for a video from our sponsor, StreamYard, which we love and to use to produce this show and many others of our clients. So we'll be back in 15 seconds. And we're back with Annette McDonald of Easel here on the Tim and Jim Show. Thank you so much to everyone who is tuning in, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what time it is. We're so grateful you're here. So Annette, we have a question here from one of our viewers. Our friend Russ Hedge says, what do you think is most important in content creation to maximize brand awareness and keeping you top of mind?
Most important. I mean, I think most important is for you to be out there, like your personal brand to be out there before you even worry about graphics and everything. I think just get out there and get started is the most important thing. But once you've nailed that and you're actually doing it, then starting to be consistent with getting your brand colors and your logo and your look and feel being consistent as well. So don't not get out there and do stuff because you don't have that brand locked down. Like, I think it's super important just to get going, do it, start building your personal brand, and then just start getting your visual assets together and putting that out there regularly.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because I think a lot of times, right, how many times do you hear somebody's like, well, I'm starting a business, but I'm working on my website or I'm working on my logo. It's like, just get started. Because I think the other thing that I've seen, and Annette, I don't know if this is something that you sometimes help people think about, people fall in love with a concept, but they don't always, like, as an example, brand colors are so important. And, you know, I'm sure we could geek out about brand colors all day, but colors have meaning. And sometimes what you think it means isn't what it means to your potential customer. And so I think, you know, we sometimes get caught up in like, oh, I like how that looks, but it doesn't always convey the right message.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much behind, you know, color meanings and color theory, and, you know, even in different cultures, different colors can mean different things. So you really need to do some research with that. And sometimes that's not something that you should be DIYing. If you're not comfortable with it, it might be easier to, you know, outsource that to a graphic designer to really work with you on that. And definitely don't just go with what you like unless you're your ideal demographic and client. You know, you should be researching what is appealing to your target market and having those right fonts and those correct colors and everything to evoke the feelings that you want your clients to feel when they're looking at your brand, rather than just you know, having what we call like brand envy or font envy and things like that, and seeing what other people have got and going, I want that for me. Like, it's not necessarily the right thing for you. You can see it and you can appreciate it, but it doesn't mean that you need to have it for yourself. So, you know, working with a designer or doing your own research on all of that color theory and seeing what your competitors are doing and making sure that you're really making your own identity that stands out and speaks your message is super important.
So some things you had talked about, Annette, were like logos, colors. Like, what other kinds of things when it comes to design should brands be thinking about, just in terms of like the elements? Like, say they want to start using Easel, what should they have ready to actually start?
Well, one thing that you just said then is that a lot of people overlook when they're getting their brand done. They'll get a logo done, and a lot of people think that a brand is just a logo, and it surely is not just that. So you've got, first of all, your essentials are your logo, but then you've got your colors, you've got your fonts. You should also have a style of imagery that you go with. But the big thing that a lot of people overlook is brand elements. So like patterns or little graphics and things that you can layer in with your designs to make them work. Like, you guys, for example, use gradients. You know, you've got the same sort of color background that you use all the time, and it's another thing that adds to your brand, that even if you don't have your logo on there, it starts to feel like the Tim and Jim show. You don't need to have every single thing on there to get that feeling, but definitely having bits and pieces of graphics that you can use in the corners or in the background of your graphics will start giving it more of that brand feel as well. And a lot of people do overlook that. They think that just putting a logo in the corner of their design will go, great, it's branded now, but it is, to a degree it is, but if you want to take it to a professional level, having different graphics and bits and pieces to actually layer through your designs will take it to that professional level.
And Annette, do you guys actually help people? I know I sign up for Easel and I'm like, I'm really not sure what I need to do, but you've got this whole professional team. Are you guys able to help people, without them breaking the bank, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've still got my graphic design business as well as Easel. So we've got all our graphic designers that work in Easel, and we've got the design agency as well. And we're actually super busy with that. So with onboarding both small businesses that want to do their logos and their brand identities, instead of doing like the old school way of building out a brand kit for them and giving them a PDF, what we do now is we actually work with them to build out their logo, all of their colors, put them into a brand kit, and then develop their own bespoke templates for them as well. So it's pretty much like a fast start sort of package where they can come in and go, I don't have any idea on how to do this. I just want to work with a professional, and then I want to take it over, which is, that's quite different to the way that we work in our graphic design studio, where we used to be reliant on our clients coming back. We'd want our clients to come back to us for our changes. Whereas with Easel and this service, we're kind of saying, once we're finished with this, not that you're on your own, not really, we're there if you need us, but people do want that, they don't want to feel that they're tied to their graphic designer and they have to ring them up, and every time they have to make a request that there's going to be a bill that's coming to them for, some minor change. So we like to make it feel like it's yours. We hand it over to you, and there's no more charges. You can take care of it. If you need us again, get in touch. But we're handing it over, which is a different approach to the old school way. But yeah, we're quite busy with that. Absolutely.
That is awesome. And Jeff says, hi, Jim and Tim. Glad to be able to join today's meeting. Having been in the agency business and worked with graphic artists for a number of years, I'm finding Annette's presentation to be quite informative. I loved her slide deck. Very creative.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, and Jeff was just recently named one of the top 20 content marketers in the world. So Jeff's a good friend of mine. So congratulations, Jeff, on that. And glad you could join us today. And Tim, did you want to also share? Melissa has a question for us.
Oh, did I miss a Melissa question? Oh, yeah, right. Here. Sorry, Melissa. Annette, is a storyboard a good tool for planning branding?
Yes, absolutely. I love storyboards, and I actually love doing planning on Pinterest as well for brands. So anywhere that you can do any sort of mood board, and there are some cool websites actually. I think one is called Moodboard.io or something like that, where you can actually go and grab things and put them onto a storyboard. Absolutely. I think any way where you can start doing separate pages or montages of information and getting that look, that's like, as a graphic designer, I love that. It's the best way to get a feel for what a client is trying to put together, rather than sending links and I like this company. A mood board is amazing both for yourself to see how it's coming together, but also to brief a graphic designer. I can't think of any graphic designer that would not appreciate that.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, I saw Melissa who said, "Ooh, Pinterest," and I have a Pinterest account, but maybe I should go see. Do you guys have, I'm assuming, is Easel on Pinterest? Maybe I need to start following you guys.
Yeah, we're on Pinterest. Actually, Pinterest is an amazing source of traffic for us. I guess being a visual product, we're pinning all of our templates and all of our design inspiration, and a lot of people are into that. So we get a lot of traffic from Pinterest. But in terms of the mood board side of things, like quite often we'll set up a private board with a client so that we can both pin to the same board and keep that private. And even past the branding stage, like ongoing, it's nice to see what they like. They might go, I've got a project coming up. doing a new live show or something like that, where I need something and they're just pinning their new stuff on there, and you can see that new direction of what they might need for their set or their branding and all of that. And it's amazing to work like that.
That's awesome. So thank you so much for all this amazing information, Annette. Can you tell people how they could reach out to you, find out more information about you, your business?
Yeah, yep. So Easel is at easil.com. So that's where our application lives. And you can catch me on Twitter. It's Annette McD. I'm on Instagram, Team Easel, Facebook, Team Easel. And you can also catch me in the chat in Easel. I'm in there supporting people with the rest of our team. So I really, crazy me, I enjoy going in there and chatting to people in support as well. And, if you've got design questions and things like that, we like to answer and help as well. We're still a small team compared to some of the other tools out there, but we like that we can get in there and actually, help people and be a little bit more hands-on and one-on-one than some of the others.
That's so amazing. And Annette, I do have one last question before we wrap up here. Do you guys have any new and exciting things maybe coming out in the near future that we should know about, or can't tell us yet?
I can't tell you, but there is stuff coming in 2020 for sure. 2021, sorry. Bye 2020. No, 2021. We've definitely got some changes and some new functions and things that are coming. So I'll let you know when it's a little bit closer, but always look, software is never finished. You guys would know this, working with a lot of the guys that you do. We're always developing, coming up with new things. So it's super exciting. And yeah, I can't wait to reveal some of the stuff that we've got coming.
So cool. Very, very excited about it. Love Easel. Keep doing the great work that you're doing. And Tim, who do we have coming next week?
Yes, next week we have, drumroll please. It's like sound effects. We have Amy Iram talking about how to quickly create content so you can spend time being social to grow your business. We're excited to have her on. What's that, Jim?
Say that 5 times fast.
I gotta slow down. I need more coffee, or less coffee, apparently. All right. Well, thank you, Annette. Thank you, Jim. This has been another exciting episode. We're so happy that you all could join us for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. We hope to see you here next week, same time, same place. Amy Iram, Tim Sohn, Jim Fuse, and see y'all next time. Bye. Thank you, Annette.
Thank you, guys.